over the New Year's weekend.
Also, have a good meeting. See you in a few minutes.
Good evening. Yep. Welcome, Counselor. Nice to see you. Gravity, I see you're there.
Hello.
Counselor Lumley, we're all here, and it's 7 o'clock. Now, Corporate Officer, are we okay to go?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, it's streaming on YouTube.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the regular meeting of Council for January 19, 2021. And I acknowledge that we are fortunate to be able to gather on the unceded territory of the Squamish Nation this evening. I'll call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. And before we start, I'd just like to make a couple of quick announcements. Number one is the shelter is open tonight, the cold weather shelter. It is open at the Salvation Army, open at 6 p.m. till 7:30 a.m. The participants of the shelter will be given dinner, breakfast, and a bag lunch to take away. And this will be carrying on now for the future. And many thanks to Silas White and the committee that he works with in getting that going, and to the Salvation Army and BC Housing. Good to see that. Just in time, I think, for our colder weather is coming. So that's excellent. And the second one is the announcement that we received late this afternoon, and that is to welcome Rebecca Anderson, who has accepted a 14-month term position as the Director of Corporate Services. She will be filling in for Lindsay while she's away on maternity leave. And Rebecca's first day will be February 1st, 2021. I hope, Rebecca, that you've tuned in tonight to keep up to date and to catch up. And if you have, I say welcome to you and look forward to working with you. Rebecca is a lawyer. She worked as a law firm in Vancouver and most recently held a 4-year term as a Chief Administrative Officer with the Village of Lytton. So that I'm sure the office will be putting out some information about her shortly. So that welcome, Rebecca. We have an agenda. Now we have an amended agenda that just came out a few minutes ago to reflect the decisions that we made this afternoon. So please, Council, if you haven't got that, please look for it. And I'm going to call for a motion to adopt the agenda for January 19, 2021. Councillor Crowell, thank you. Councillor Lumley, thank you. All in favor of adopting the agenda? Thank you very much. Goes forward. Also now the minutes of the regular meeting of Council for January 5, 2021. Recommendation they be adopted. Councillor Crowell, thank you. Councillor Ladwig, thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Those are approved. Any business arising, Council, from that set of minutes of the January 5th? Okay, see none. We'll move on to proclamations. And Sarah Dignol and Johanna Rizepa, if you're in the audience, perhaps you'd like to come forward. Sarah, hi. And Johanna, hi. And this is the proclamation this evening. It's for the Toastmasters Club. And it's for the Sarah and Johanna represent the Beachcombers Advanced Toastmaster Club, and they are present to receive the proclamation tonight. So that somebody, either one of you, wish to speak to that proclamation. Tell us what you do and what the Toastmasters do.
Mayor Beamish, councillors and guests.
Good. Good evening.
Thank you very much
Yeah.
for proclaiming Toastmasters Month as month of February, as you have last year. I'm representing the Sunshine Coast Area 73 Toastmasters. And I was hoping that you would read the proclamation, but I don't have it in front of me.
And I don't have it in front of me either, Sarah. I'm just madly going through saying, did I miss that? But it's actually not here. Now that I
Yeah.
see, let me go a little deeper.
There it is on the screen.
Here we go. Good. Yeah, good. I certainly will read that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your club? How many members? And
So our club presently has 9 members. We're an advanced club, so we have certain requisites for people who want to join. But we have 3 other clubs on the coast,
yes,
and they're welcome to anyone who would wish to partake in the meetings. And everyone is welcome to attend as a guest. And all our meetings are held virtually, so anyone can, in the comfort of their home, attend the meetings as a guest and later on join if they wish.
good. Well, thank you. And how long have you been going with this club?
So it is a year now. Previously to that, I was with 2 other clubs on the coast.
Excellent. Well, we'll have to get you to come and speak to us one time and show off some of your skills.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, I will read the proclamation, and I'm going to ask the corporate officer, will you be moving it up for me? Because I just see the first whereas clause. So stop there. Okay, I'm going to go. Okay. The proclamation for the Toastmasters Club, and it's whereas Toastmasters International is a nonprofit educational organization, is a leader in making effective oral communication a national and international reality for all persons. And whereas the ability to speak clearly and effectively is a powerful and important skill that can help individuals overcome barriers to effective performance. Feedback, decision-making, effective meeting management, delegating, and mentoring, vital skills that promote self-actualization, enhance leadership potential, foster human understanding, and contribute to the betterment of humankind. And whereas there are 4 active Toastmaster clubs on the Sunshine Coast that meet regularly to continue to promote the goals, vision, mission, and core values of Toastmasters International. Now, therefore, I, William Beamish, Mayor of Gibsons, do hereby proclaim the month of February 2021 to be known as Toastmasters Club in the town of Gibsons. Proclamation 2021-01, January 19, 2021. Sarah, thank you very much. And this is the annual proclamation. This is my first proclamation, and it's the first proclamation every year. I'm proud to do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mayor Beamish.
And Johanna, did you want to say anything? Give you a chance. Okay, seeing none. Thank you. We will move on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next to delegations and petitions, and Ian Anderson and Annette Clark regarding roaming cats or Roman cats. So Ian and Annette, there you are. Ian, I see you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, Ian. Yes, thank you.
Okay, great.
And thank you very much for the very thorough information you provided on this issue and on other issues. It's very interesting to read. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
And you are speaking?
Yeah, I just first got to say that Annette Clark, unfortunately, she hasn't, for various reasons, she can't make this meeting, but we've worked together on this presentation. So
That's fine. We'll let you just go ahead then, please.
okay, great.
Yeah, a delegation has 10 minutes, Ian, just to let you know.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out how to do this. Okay, can you see the first slide?
Yes, cats and birds.
Okay, great. I'll start then. Well, thank you very much for having me this evening, Mayor Beamish and Council. I'm Ian Anderson. I volunteer for Cats and Birds, which is part of Nature Canada. I'm here to talk to you about why we need to keep cats and wildlife separate, how to do it for the benefit of both, as well as for the health of our community. Most of us lead busy lives, so we don't see or know about the wildlife being slaughtered by roaming cats in our communities, and so it goes unaddressed. Okay, I'm just going to change slides. Yeah, I became involved partly after this. I realized my garden attracts many birds, but that in turn attracts many neighborhood cats intent on killing them. I'm just going to play that once more if I can figure out how, because that probably happened so fast you didn't see it. This is a hummingbird and it's being killed by a cat. Whoops. Oh no. Shoot.
Yeah, we get
Okay, let's go back. Okay.
Okay, try there. Yeah. There it is.
Yeah, it happens.
There it is. Yeah.
So this video really brought it home to me. So of course the cats were also using my garden as a latrine. How is this somehow accepted? Property owners have the right to quiet enjoyment of their property, and pet cats shouldn't be allowed to kill wildlife. Despite all my cat deterrence and conversations with the owners, little has changed. Wildlife is under immense pressure from habitat loss, climate change, and other direct human-caused problems. The extinction crisis is becoming more real, with studies like the one in your agenda package showing the 25% loss of birds in North America in the last 50 years. I'm also appalled at all the cats going missing and being hit by cars. When I found out about Cats and Birds and all the Canadian municipalities shown here that already had cat bylaws, I knew I had to try and make a difference. This graph is Environment Canada study, shows the full extent of the problem in Canada. Clearly, the situation in my yard was a small indication of a much larger problem. Bird deaths by domestic cats are greater than all other direct human-related causes combined, beyond habitat loss. Similar research suggests they also kill several times as many other small native creatures. The Canadian Medical Association, in the letter provided, state sources of additive mortality such as cat predation can have substantial cumulative impact on wild populations. Using the same method as the national study in the previous graph, we can project approximately 10,000 birds are killed by own cats in Gibsons annually. This is based on a Gibson population of approximately 5,000 people, the known statistics on the number of cats owned per person in Canada, what percentage of cats are allowed to roam in BC, and predation figures per cat from the study. Domestic cats are not part of North America's ecosystems. They exist in extremely artificially high densities for a predator. We subsidize them with food and shelter, and then, but they still instinctively hunt for food despite being well fed. The Canadian Veterinary Medical Association also say, in addition to acting as a non-native predator, domestic cats have been shown to impact wildlife populations through competition and disease transmission. While some cats hunt more and some less, a study utilizing cameras worn by cats shocked the owners who believed their owners didn't hunt much or at all. Another study proved even the mere presence of a cat can be detrimental to birds' nesting success. Individual cats allowed to roam aren't too damaging to overall bird populations, killing on average 1 or 2 birds a month. But when you consider how many cats there are, the numbers killed becomes unsustainable. The Stewardship Centre for BC claims that this province is particularly vulnerable to cat-related conservation issues. Over 300 bird species breed in BC, the highest of any province. One BC study noted that birds can face a heightened risk of cat predation, especially during the spring and summer months, when fledgling birds are most numerous. In general, any ground feeding and any birds nesting close to ground face increased risk from roaming cats. As you can see, all the dangers out there for roaming cats. It's understandable the Canadian Veterinary Medical Association states almost 80% of veterinarians support an indoor lifestyle for cats for health reasons. There's lots of help available for people to transition outdoor indoor cats to indoors only. Cat owners can supervise them outdoors and provide an enriched home environment of toys and attention. One explanation for letting cats roam is that they control rat populations. But now it is known that cats kill so many unintended victims, using cats for outdoor rodent control has become unconscionable. In trying to solve one problem, we've created a worse one. Add to that the recent study showing that cats aren't even good at controlling full-grown rats that was in the agenda. Luckily, we have many local native rodent controllers, so efforts should be made to educate on the advantages of attracting native birds of prey. Owl can kill approximately 1,200 rodents a year. Dogs known as rat terriers have been bred to be rodent hunters and are less destructive to wildlife than cats. And poison-free traps placed when not a threat to wildlife are another option. Another reason and myth for letting cats roam is that unlike dogs, they present no risk to human health. However, the Canadian Veterinary Medical Association's position is that roaming, owned, abandoned, and feral cats serve as reservoirs for zoonotic diseases, such as those shown on the slide. They go on to state zoonotic diseases incur significant health and economic burdens and should be a public health priority. The dangerous toxoplasma parasite can only sexually reproduce in the digestive tract of its definitive host, cats. An infected cat sheds hundreds of millions of the pathogen in its feces, which can last up to 1.5 years on land. In the article provided from One Health on toxoplasma, it stated that it's the second leading cause of death from foodborne illnesses in the US. It's commonly known for the risks to the unborn and immune compromised, but they also mention increasing concern over its role in the cognitive decline of older individuals and its association to neuropsychiatric disorders, including schizophrenia, depression, and suicide attempts. Last year, the CDC, Center for Disease Control, listed it as a high priority in need of more research. Roaming cats defecating in private and community gardens, children's play areas, and parks needs to stop. So if bylaws, as all respected authorities suggest, are the solution to all these problems, which existing bylaw is the best example to follow? In 2018, the BC-SPCA letter contained in the agenda listed the successful bylaws in Port Alberni and Dawson Creek. Dawson Creek has mandatory licensing for cats over the age of 6 months and laws prohibiting cats at large. They have been so successful in Dawson Creek that in 2018, they won the BC-SPCA Humane Community Award, as shown in the slide. They licensed even more cats than dogs in 2016 with spay-neuter incentives to help. Their laws have resulted in an increased return rate for lost and stray cats brought back to their owners from 10% to 40%. They also achieved a reduction of unwanted kittens being dropped off. By comparison, our return to owner rates at our local branch with an absence of laws, has decreased from 48% in 2016 to a pitiful figure of only 26% in 2017 and 2018. So three in four cats are not.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to have to call a point of order here. And I apologize, Mr. Anderson, but, and I did read the report. It was very thorough, but, and, you know, we should definitely follow up on it, but we've got like a giant agenda and an in-camera meeting after, so.
Yeah, I haven't even got to my 10 minutes, have I?
No, I don't believe you have, Mr.
No,
Yeah.
can I please finish?
Start at 7:08.
Can I please finish? I'm almost finished.
Okay.
Thank
It's
you.
up to the mayor. I just called a point of order. I guess the mayor could shoot it down.
Thank you. No, I hear your point of order. Carry on, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you. So they well, where was I? So our numbers have decreased. The BC SPCA noted municipalities that have invested in proactive strategies for reducing pet overpopulation have realized new financial efficiencies in their operating costs. The low value of cats leads to people letting them roam, and if not spayed or neutered, can contribute to the cat overpopulation crisis. The worry is that if feral cats, which are cats born and raised without human contact, increase here, so will the cost to municipalities. The Canadian Veterinary Medical Association asserts feral cat management programs are impeded by the influx from the owned cat population via abandonment, strays, or unintended litters, making anti-roaming legislation imperative. Beyond helping wildlife, cats, and public health, bylaws are needed to give recourse to people who don't want roaming cats on their properties to back up their existing property rights, prevent neighbor disputes, and people taking the law into their own hands. While Gibson's progressive urban forest plan will help contribute to local wildlife habitat, cats undermine that effort. In 2019, the Victorian Natural History Society letter in your package got a lot of press attention. A poll done by a Vancouver Island newspaper covering the story showed that 50% in favor of cat registration, which I believe is a milestone, reaching over 50% for the first time. More cat owners are keeping their cats indoors, spaying and neutering, and using outdoor enclosures like this, known as the catio. And with increasing environmental awareness and social change already happening, laws will be more readily accepted. This is a new letter just sent to me a couple of days ago when she sent it to you. I also believe Irene from Gibsons Wildlife Rehab sent a letter. In conclusion, I'm happy to work with your staff and ready to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. And point out to council that there is a letter from Irene Davey that is in your January 4th, 2021 reading file, which we'll be discussing tonight. So thank you, Mr. Davey, for, as I say, for your presentation and for all of the information that you provided previously. I'll turn over to council now and ask council if council has any questions. Councilor Diandrad, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have a question because I read the report, but I just want to thank Ian because it was very timely. I have been very concerned with this issue. And when I started doing the research and he just showed up with this incredible work done. And I hope it has convinced council for the need, and I will follow up with that because I would like to bring a motion to council in the near future. So
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Ladwig.
I'll just ditto what Councillor Diandrade said. As a biologist, I work with bird biologists with Environment Canada, and so I am aware of the impact of cats on wildlife. And so I do understand this issue. It makes me sad. I'm a huge cat lover, and the thought of keeping them locked up is sad, but at the same time, I fully understand the impact that they have. And so I do think that it's a worthwhile discussion for council.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ian.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Other comments from council? Councillor Kroll?
I just wanted to thank Ian for the report, and you know, we have 2 cats in our residence, and we asked the vet when we acquired them as kittens 16 years ago, what about indoor cats? And the vet simply said, how often do you want to see me? The cats have been to they, you know, they're perfectly healthy cats, and the vet is not doing a huge amount of business from us. So it sort of speaks for itself. But, you know, as Councillor Ladwig said, it is an issue. You sort of feel they want to be outdoors, but our cats don't even seem to miss it. So, you know, I think people need, if they have pets, regardless of what the pet is, they have to behave responsibly, and just allowing, you know, it's someone sent me a video about a year ago of a cougar chasing a cat through a backyard on Sargent Road. So, you know, it's you know, it's a difficult balance. But thank you for the report.
Thank you.
And we all have cat stories. Our last cat lived till I was 21 years old. Today, I have 2 dogs in our house, and they stand at the window barking madly because there's a cat outside in the garden all the time looking for birds. So, and they're not outside running free. So thank you. Ian, we do not make decisions based upon delegations, but the information's there. And as Councillor D'Andrade mentioned, she will be bringing something forward to council at some point. And thank you for enlightening us all and for the information you provided. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to our agenda, and the next item on our agenda is the inquiries. And the inquiries at this time is for any item that is on the agenda for council to consider this evening. So, corporate officer, I'll leave you to manage the inquiries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I'll ask anybody in the meeting as an attendee to please use the raise the hand feature located at the bottom of your screen, and we'll turn on your audio and video. I do see one, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Suzanne Singer.
Hi guys, good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm going to leave my video off just because my internet connection isn't very good. Looking at the agenda tonight, I don't see the issue of the tree cutting on Gospel Rock on the open meeting agenda. So, and I don't know what the policy is for asking about closed meeting agenda items, but it is, you know, it's odd not to see the item on the open meeting agenda. So can you tell me whether the item itself, no details, will be discussed in camera?
No, it's not practice for us to talk about what is on the in-camera agenda. The issue has not been forgotten.
Mayor Beamish, at the first council meeting of the year, it seemed like it was a pretty big issue for council, and there was a conversation about having discussion about, you know, what happened and sharing information with the public and all of that, you know, in full view of the public. Can we expect that to be the case going forward?
At some point, I'm sure it will be. I can say that I did myself go up there with staff and had a look at the site. And I was not as concerned after I saw what had happened up there. Yes, there were decisions made by the developer. The stop work order is still in place, and they are working with staff. I did not see swaths of cutting through the conservation area, and I'll leave it at that for now. CAO, you wanted to comment?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I just, we have updated information on the website on that project and the stop work order. So I'd refer Mr. Sanger to check out the website as well. And there's information that went up today as well in the last couple of days. Thank you.
Councillor Lumley?
Yeah, maybe even explain, I guess, from a little birdie told me that Elfie's been up there too, right? Is that the case?
Elfie?
Well, they've been removing some of the,
Well, somebody's been up there removing tags. We know that, but
yeah, so there was, the covenant has been registered, and there were flags up there and people are removing them, right? So, I mean, and I know that Suzanne's association is involved in the covenant's been registered, but now they have to have come to an agreement for managing that conservation area. So, I mean, I'd like to, I mean, I don't know if people can go up there and mess around with how it's been laid out and protected in the interim. That would concern me quite a bit. So I don't know, maybe she might want to look into that as well. Or talk to the developer about it. So.
Just for clarification, if it's all right, that I'm not really sure what you actually just said, Councillor Lumley, but it sounded like you said the conservation covenant has been registered, and that's not the case. So, you know, there are supposed to be 3 signatories on the conservation covenant: the town of Gibsons, the SCCA, and the Land Conservancy, along with the owner, who's the property owner. But that hasn't happened yet. We're still trying to figure all that out. We're waiting for information from the town, specifically the survey of the land that shows where the boundary is that we haven't been able to access yet. So that hasn't happened yet, just for clarification, just so that we're all on the same page. Thanks.
okay, thank you. If you check the website and see what additional information is there, perhaps that'll be of use to you. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Corporate Officer?
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, we do have one further inquiry.
Thank you. Christina Lees? Yes, see you. Hi.
Hello, can you hear me?
Can hear you, yes. Welcome.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You're a little bit gravelly.
I'm unable to hear you.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Christina, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello? Are you there? Christina, your connection is
Yeah, I'm unable to hear you. But I do have one question, and perhaps I'll just go one way, and then one, I wanted to get statistics on the tree bylaw situation since it was enacted in early October. And 2, I wanted to just send a congratulations to all of the people on the council to be brave and to support something like this. And then finally, my 3rd point is just to ensure that to the issue that Ms. Sanger brought up a moment ago, that you continue to be brave and you continue to pay attention to these issues that continue to be an issue for the community. I believe more people are aware of it and are interested in it than maybe discussed upon, and I believe something was written to that effect in the local paper over the last week. I wish I could hear you, but I will stop now and I'll hand it back to the council.
Thank you. I believe we understood what you were saying. Again, if you'd like to check the website as well for the additional information that's on there. I don't want to go into the details of Gospel Rock project, but only to say that there was no illegal tree cutting that took place up in Gospel Rock. Okay. Okay, Corporate Officer.
I don't see any further inquiries, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. We'll carry on then to committee reports. 8.1 on the agenda. And this is the Plan and Development Committee minutes. And just to ask for a recommendation at this point in time, resolution to approve or accept receive all of the minutes, all of the correspondence, and all of the reports on this evening's agenda. Councillor Kroll, thank you. Councillor D'Andrade, thank you. All in favor of receipt? Thank you very much. So we'll move on to the minutes of they've been received. So now we'll go on to development permit for form and character for a garden suite at 313 Headlands. The recommendation is a development permit 2023 be issued subject to the registration of a section 219 covenant to ensure that future parking needs may be met at the request of the town through the provision of an additional parking space on site, including installation of a culvert as needed per town requirements. Somebody like to make that recommendation? Councillor Kroll, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Ladwig. Any further discussion of that, Council? Seeing none, all in favor? Thank you. 8.1.3 Housing Needs Report Implementation Framework. Recommendation the Council endorses subject to a future budget constraints. The recommendations in section 5.1 of the Housing Needs Report Implementation Framework as a basis for the town's housing strategy under the following categories. 1, facilitate development through plans, regulations, and approvals. 2, investing and incentivizing desired unit types. 3, convening partnerships, advocating for housing needs and educating communities. And 4, supporting social equity. And that council report back with additional details on how to prioritize and implement the actions with timelines. Somebody care to make that recommendation? Councillor Ladwig. Seconded by Councillor Kroll. Thank you. All in favor or any further discussion of it? Discussion, Councillor D'Andrade? Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. I think I have one concern, and I don't know if we need to add any item here, number 5, because what I noticed with the prices escalating, so what we are calling affordable housing is not really affordable. So I think this has to be discussed to a great depth, because I understand that many times when developers provide affordable housing, it's at marketplace, but marketplace in a pristine place, it's pretty much a luxury place that only wealthy people would be able to. So I would like, Mr. Mayor, do you think that this recommendation it's sufficient to address the real issue of the housing market? Because we are already overly expensive, so we need really to come up with solutions that provide housing for the people who are really having affordability issues, right? That they cannot pay more than 30% of their salaries. So I think we got some affordable housing for future developments, but they are overly expensive. So I feel almost is a disservice to call these affordable housing because they are not affordable at all.
I'm not sure that this particular recommendation was dealing specifically with affordable housing as much as it is dealing with the range of housing types in the community, of which affordable housing would be one type sort of thing. So that it does talk about investing and incentivizing desired unit types. And that could be considered to be, that's where we might be looking at affordable at that time. So we have made past resolutions on affordable housing. We'd have to take a look at that. Councillor Kroll?
Thank you, Mayor Beamish. I certainly agree with what Councillor D'Andrade is saying, but I think what we, and I think we discussed it in the planning and development meeting, is where creating partnerships, because any commercial development cannot afford to build below market with the cost of materials, the cost of construction, the cost of labor. to build rental is prohibitive. So the only way it can be done effectively is creating partnerships with societies or philanthropic societies that can afford to underwrite the cost of building. And I think this is critical moving forward, that we look for synergies and partnerships where we can bring these people together. And I think that was discussed at the Planning and Development Committee meeting, and the need for cultivating those partnerships. As a town, we can't tell a developer that they have to lose money on a project. We'll never see anything built. And sadly, particularly when it comes to rental and the long return on the investment, it's a really difficult situation. So I think encouraging partnerships and looking for philanthropic investment in rental is the direction we need to be moving.
Gravity, did I see your hand up or did I see your hand moving? Okay, thank you. And I think we've got the supporting social equity in there. And I think that was a big piece of what we talked about too, is making, not just looking at affordable housing, but making rising incomes that could support housing purchases. So I don't know, Director of Planning, do we have other resolutions on the book relative to affordable housing, do we not?
We do, Mayor. We are working on the affordable housing and community amenity contribution policy, and that would be the avenue to negotiate stronger housing contributions. And if council wants to see affordable housing instead of rental housing, that would be the policy to strengthen negotiations. So that is underway. This implementation framework is set to be the basis for the affordable housing strategy, and that applies to the range of housing, from supported housing to purchasing market housing.
Does that answer your question, Councilor Diendrad? Yeah. You're still muted. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, we will be having more discussion, but I think it was a good small discussion here, because
we all share your concerns on that issue. So, okay, it's been moved and seconded. I see no further discussion. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you. And then the next is 8.2, and that's the Committee of the Whole meeting. This is the amended package that you received this evening. Committee of the Whole meeting for January 19th. And the first one is 8.2.1, Town of Gibsons Advisory Design Panel. And the recommendation is that the Town of Gibsons Advisory Design Panel, yeah, I'm looking for my page. Sorry, I'm just, I must have them out of order here. Out of sequence, sorry. Girl Guides, can't be it. Okay, sorry, Advisory Design Panel Bylaw number 1288, 2021 be forwarded to Council for first, second, and the third reading. And that staff be directed to begin recruiting volunteer memberships on the Advisory Design Panel for Council appointment under adoption of bylaw, upon adoption of bylaw number 1288, 2021. And further, that the Planning and Development Committee be disbanded upon adoption of the Advisory Design Panel. We had quite a thorough discussion of that this afternoon. Would somebody care to move that first? Councillor Ladwig, Councillor Crowell, thank you. Discussion, Councillor Diendrad, you weren't there. Do you have any questions?
thank you very much. I was more when I saw the people that will be invited, I was just curious why realtors. I understand that they sell the properties, but I just didn't understand. So it was more like trying to understand. And also perhaps when they say urban planning, people with urban planning expertise, but I would like to see also people from our community that have great understanding of our OCP. Right, and so these are the two points. The rest, I felt okay with it. Was there any change in the?
There was no change to that, and the only discussion we had was relative to proceeding forward and recruiting. The looking at how we recruit those people. So yeah, lots of opportunity to discuss that. So,
but Mayor, so is there anyone that could, perhaps staff could answer the question? I couldn't understand why it's important that realtors sit in this panel.
well, they were one of the range of skills on there, not not solely realtors. Director of Planning.
Thank you, Mayor. So yeah, we added someone from the real estate industry because they have a knowledgeable background on what the market level is and the state of the market and what's selling and what would be the trends. So that's valuable in design and building. Yeah, I mean, we looked at a number of different advisory design panel terms of references as well, and it's consistently in there. So we'd see what we get for applicants, and council will ultimately appoint the 6 volunteers.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Councillor Crowell.
Thank you, Mayor Beamish. Sort of further to Director or Councillor D'Andretti's comment. I know in the past, even with the existing committee, we had an applicant who was a retired realtor, and which isn't a bad situation. They've got a pulse on the market, but they're not actively involved in it. And you know, I can see possibly the concern you might have had with thinking, you know, here's someone possibly swaying the committee because of, you know, personal interest. But then if you read the terms of reference, if there is a situation where they could profit from them, they'd be required to recuse themselves anyway. So, but you know, it is a, you know, as the Director of Planning said, it is a valuable reading on the market.
Okay. Thank you. Did we have that moved and seconded? We did, I believe. Yes. So it's moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions on it? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Thank you. 8.2.2 Community Grant Canada BC Safe Start refund funds. Recommendation that a community grant utilizing the Canada BC Safe Start funds be initiated with the following parameters. A total fund of $25,000, a $1,000 limit per application, and eligible applicants will include not-for-profit and other community organizations that have incurred COVID-19 related costs providing services for vulnerable people in the community in 2020 and 2021, and that community grant utilizing the Canada Safe Restart funds be administered by staff with periodic reporting to council. Somebody want to move that? Councillor Crowell, thank you. Seconded by Councillor D'Andrade, thank you. Further discussion. We discussed this a couple hours ago. Any further questions or around this or discussion? The idea of this was that there would be an opportunity to have the funds made available the easiest, least bureaucratic process possible. There will be an application process. There will be a requirement to state the reason why the funds are required or needed. It's not intended for capital projects or to, it may be in conjunction with other grants that somebody receives, but it is intended to enable organizations to continue to function and to recover some costs that they have incurred over relative to COVID. If the funds, if additional funds are required during the year, council may consider adding more to the pot, but the initial pot is $25,000. The additional grant and aid program that the town runs will still run. And so that is another $20,000 that's out there for the traditional grants. This is just very specific to COVID. And we thought that the best way to administer this is to have an application form, but that it would be administered through staff as opposed to having to come back to council for council to make decisions on it and within parameters. And there was an application form started to be developed. So I'll call the question on this. All in favor? Good. Good. Thank you. And thank you, staff, again, for your initiative in getting this done in a timely manner. Okay, we're going to go to administration reports and the Director of Infrastructure Services, Town of Gibsons Office Renovation Project. And perhaps, Dave, you'd like to talk on that?
Yes, certainly. Thank you, Mayor Beamish. I'm going to share my screen and just show a graphic of the work that we'll be discussing here. So hopefully you can see my screen showing a little layout. Okay, good. Thank you. So we have an opportunity for a grant under, I think it's Build Canada, and it's the a COVID focused grant. The project that fit best with the grant requirements and criteria was to complete the renovation in the next door building where the medical health offices used to be. And currently approximately half of the lower floor is taken up with tourist information as well as Scredo. And the remaining half is largely unfinished. The resolution that you see in front of you is a grant requirement. And so they wanted to see this commitment from council to submit this application. It does talk about council being responsible for ineligible costs and cost overruns. However, there's specific criteria as to what is ineligible costs, and there are no ineligible costs for this proposed scope of work, and no cost overruns are expected or anticipated. We've included a 25% contingency, and if costs are higher than anticipated, staff would make appropriate modifications to the scope of work. The reason for the timing of this work is to provide work areas, COVID-safe work areas. At present, in the town hall, what we have done is there's a fair number of staff that are working out of home or are desk sharing, and the vacant desks that have been left vacant by staff working out of home are being used by other staff in order to maintain the safe, healthy distance during COVID conditions. So with COVID being what it is, right now it's impossible for all staff to be in the office because we're now so spread out. So this proposed renovation would provide the necessary area for all staff to be able to work out of a town facility. And for anyone who's not aware, this building is immediately adjacent to the town hall. As I say, the main reason here is to provide adequate areas for staff to work. At this point, the proposal is to move my department over there, Infrastructure Services. We've had a discussion among staff to determine the best department to move over, and it was decided that Infrastructure Services would fit the bill. Don't know if you can see my cursor, but there are 4 offices. This end of the building is the area facing the ocean. And so that's the side of the building that would be used for 4 spaced out offices for staff. Here is where the tourist information is, and over in this area, if you're able to follow my cursor, is the area used by Scredo. This area here is also provides an additional area where staff can either meet with other staff or with members of the public, most often probably the development community, in a safe, socially distanced manner. And over in this area is a reception area where we would have one staff member, and I'll show you on the plan in one moment as to how the public would enter the area. And then there's a small lunchroom and 2 areas here which could actually be converted into offices as well, should the need arise. I'm just going to, oh, and then there's, as part of this work, an area for file storage would be created as well. So just looking at the floor plan. Shrink her up a little bit here. So the blue area is the area we've been looking at. And over to the left-hand side of the screen, over by this yellow area, is a common lobby where the public would be able to enter in. There's washrooms in the front here that are available for all users, and the public would then be able to enter here, where they would be meeting up with reception and either being directed into the multi-purpose room for meetings or to meet with staff. The archive storage area is here, and there are some minor changes that we would make to this layout to tweak the design. But at this point, this is the draft design for this area. Moving past COVID, and none of us really know what post-COVID is going to look like, but supposing it turns back to, you know, life before COVID, we would now have the space to grow in this area for infrastructure services, as well as having area to grow within the town hall by the vacated offices of the infrastructure services department. So we would see kind of a win on both sides once COVID has passed. Plus, we would have this multi-purpose room, which we are also proposing to be, at least at this stage, rough wired for a localized emergency operating center that we don't currently have. And then it could be rented out as well to groups who need a place to meet, and also be used for other staff functions. I think that's, I have a feeling there was something else I was going to mention in regards to it, but it's fled my mind. Now, as I mentioned, the resolutions in front of you are a grant requirement. The grant closes, I believe, I think it's around the 27th to 29th. However, it's a rolling intake, and so they are reviewing these applications as they come in. So we're actually planning on submitting our application tomorrow, subject to council support. We've done all the other preparatory work for the applications. A couple other things that we will be reporting back to council on is one, regardless of the grant application, staff will be reporting to council for pre-budget approval for the detailed design of this area. I mean, that includes all the heating, ventilation, air conditioning, electrical, and the construction of the workstations. And we'll be proposing and recommending that approximately $60,000 for this work would be funded from the COVID Safe Restart Grant for local governments. This scope of work has not been included in the grant application because we would not be able to start the design work until we heard word of the success of our application. If we started prior to, our project would become ineligible. So that was the reason for leaving this part out of the grant. Furthermore, should the town be unsuccessful in the grant application, staff are further recommending that the project be funded by COVID Safe Restart Grant as well, as per the eligibility criteria of facility opening and operating and other related costs. Due to challenges with staff time during our budget preparation season, staff's preference is to report directly to council on February 2nd, 2021, unless, of course, council wants to make a resolution right now. Alternatively, the report could go to committee of the whole first, and then subsequently to the same February 2nd council meeting. Reporting to committee of the whole just puts staff under the gun a little bit with getting a report to you in time for the agenda. So I think I'll leave it there, and certainly willing to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Newman. Council, ask any questions. Before us tonight is a recommendation and the request that we support an application for grant funding. Councillor Dean-Drat.
Thank you, Mayor Beamish. In principle, I think it's great. If you're going to get money to renovate a building, I have no problem with that. I think my only question is if there has been some study done on the future maintenance of this area, how much maintenance will add to the cost of the annual cost, right, of maintaining all this building, right? This will certainly operational costs for the town.
Yes, not detailed, no. However, the area right now is unused, and we're stuck a bit for where to be putting staff. The alternative would be to either be renting or leasing a space, which would be challenging, or to be adding on to the existing town hall, which I can guarantee you will be more money and less, perhaps less of a good investment, because this one is renovating an existing building as opposed to adding on new onto old. So your short answer is no detailed, but definitely a requirement one way or the other.
Councillor Kroll.
Thank you, Mayor Beamish. I'm just wondering, the sort of plan and layout you've indicated, is that being considered a stick built, or has there been consideration going to like a modular office form of construction, which provides raceways and things like that for mechanical upgrading? And
that will be addressed during the detailed design.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Lumley.
So it's at the meeting tonight and you need an answer. You have to do something tomorrow?
We're putting in a grant application. We do have up until, as I say, a week, maybe 10 days before the deadline. But we've been working on this since the grant announcement, which was in December. We could wait, certainly, but because it is a rolling intake, staff feel that if we're able to get this in sooner rather than later, that it would be to our benefit.
I don't, not to say my memory's perfect, but I just don't remember ever hearing of this until like maybe tonight. I'm not sure, but I kind of feel like there's a gun to my head. And part of me kind of thinks in discussion, maybe, or because I talked to many people, and from what I heard COVID's doing is actually downsizing people. And now we're talking about expanding, which I don't understand. Also, that building used to be a revenue center for the town. Now it's going to turn into a cost center. And I think in the larger scale, for me personally, just from what I'd like to see is like I know we've discussed it many times, and it's been discussed probably for years, but the town hall moving, this property not this property, but in town hall, sits on a multi-million-dollar piece of land that the town's not collecting any tax on. I don't know. I think my biggest part of this is that, like I said earlier, like a lot of businesses are people are actually working from home, and their infrastructure or their structure of their businesses is to allow that. And they do office sharing. Like if somebody has to come into an office for a meeting, well, then they work around that and they schedule meetings. And like I said, like most companies are downsizing. I have a really bad feeling. And I mean, clearly if the grant doesn't go through, I mean, I don't even know if I'm ready to vote on this tonight, but if the grant doesn't go through, I definitely won't. I'll vote against the money coming from the $1.5 million we got. We've already used $300,000 of it, so that'd be 600. We'd be left with like what, 900,000. Like we're really flying through this money. Anyway, that's just my feelings on this. But I don't know if there's like a better way. It's, with people having to retract, it almost seems like, I don't know, gives me an uncomfortable feeling thinking the town's going to expand during COVID rather than retracting. I don't know. It's just it's a difficult position for my brain right now. So those are my thoughts.
Councillor Ladwig.
I was just going to echo what Councillor Lumley said. As someone who works for the federal government and we're all working from home, that was the first thing that jumped out to me as well. I mean, we have staff that are now starting to buy homes in other communities from their head offices, let alone, within their homes in the same community. And so I agree with Councillor Lumley. I was struggling with wrapping my head around this too. Having said that, if this is a grant that staff want to apply for, I mean, I could go either way, but wholeheartedly, just like Councillor Lumley, if this was coming out of our 1.5 million, I wouldn't have supported it. So I'm sort of sitting in that same position as well. I do question why additional space is needed, considering just about every white collar worker nowadays is basically working from home. So I get office space, not office space, meeting space. I understand that, but I guess I would need to understand more as to why the council chambers doesn't serve that need for meeting with developers and things like that, as we're currently doing.
Before I go back to David, I'm gonna just comment myself, and that is that I guess when I saw this resolution on the agenda, I was looking for the report that accompanied it with a budget and with details, and it turns out to be a verbal report, and that's fine. I think that I would like more substance before I'm asked to support something that has an open-ended cost. I appreciate that 25% contingency should cover any issues, and there shouldn't be those kind of issues in a well-researched budget. I just think in terms of due diligence by council voting on $316,000, we should have the detail before us to consider. That's all. So if it takes a little bit of time and waiting for that, I'm not sure that this particular grant application, it is by the end of the month, but is it beyond the end of the month as well, Dave? Do you know? No. Yeah, it's strictly to the end of the month.
I can provide some comments to council's.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, please. Yeah.
So before COVID, town hall was at capacity for staff. No more room for staff. With COVID, we are at capacity for a diminished workforce at the town hall. So either way, COVID or pre-COVID, we are at capacity. We have no more room. And I certainly understand that I've heard talk about the potential of moving elsewhere at some point, but that's certainly not going to be happening in the immediate future. I would also suggest that this area would, if we are renovating this area, especially with partitions or what have you, that there's nothing to say that if we build elsewhere at some other time, that this area could not be rented out. So it's not money thrown away by any stretch. If and you know, maybe a conversation now, or you know, or perhaps you know, we could have had it sooner, but about what council's vision is for staff. I mean, we are a local government, and we are here to serve the public, and that's more challenging for me when I'm sitting at home working, but still at home. I can't have people at my home office. I need to leave and meet with them. And perhaps that is what is required for a lot of places, is to be able to rethink what options there are. But it's certainly not going to be a short-term solution necessarily, and some staff are honestly finding it difficult to be working out of home all the time. We miss a lot of the efficiencies of being able to drop by and see each other, and we actually need to make a point of, you know, trying to meet outside of our home offices to connect with people. And mental health wise, that becomes challenging for staff as well. And most local, or I understand that the local governments on the coast, it's not unusual for us to be, or it is typical for local governments on the coast to be looking for people. Development has, for looking for office space for people. It's been surprising at how much has been going on in the community with development. I had grand visions of being able to work on a backlog of stuff that has been on my desk for ages, and development has not been cooperative. They've been going like faster than I can, you know, I've seen before since working, or it feels like anyway, faster than I've seen before. So we are seeing growth despite COVID, and I'm certainly not trying to talk you into anything. If you're not comfortable, you're not comfortable, no problem. We can report back and try and have that report back to you before the grant deadline, and we can have more discussion on that. I don't know if the CAO wants to add anything to what I've said, but certainly here for your direction and where you want to go.
Councillor Lumley, I'll go to you first.
Okay, so another thing that was bouncing around inside my head when you were presenting this, probably like maybe the only way that I could see make any sense of this is that the building has to be updated to rent in the first place. And if you know, the last thing I'd want to do is expand. I mean, again, I'll go back to it. I understand like everyone's challenged because of COVID, You know, I'm sure every nurse and every doctor and every ward would just like to go to the province and say, hey, like, we need to hire more doctors and nurses. But these are just the conditions I guess everybody's working with. And I'm the same way. And like mental health, stress, it's on everybody. If you built this and then used it because you can't get into the main office, when you eventually can go back into the main office, you're saying you can rent this out.
No,
that grant would probably, you probably couldn't make money off of a grant that you received, right?
No, that wasn't exactly what I said. If once COVID is over and done with and everyone can come back to work, we don't have room for the staff because we've hired new staff since. HR is one person and capital project coordinator is another. We're sitting on, you know, if we have them come back, we're going to have people sitting out in the hall to create an office space. And so we would have to come up with another work area solution if this does not go ahead and that all staff are able to return to the workplace. We cannot have everybody return to the workplace right now.
Which goes back to the original argument that, like, and whether or not it works, whether, like, and we've never had this discussion, right? So again, goes back to what I said was like, hey, we got to do this tomorrow. Here's the report tonight. It's like, whoa, we haven't even had this discussion before. But
can I interject here, rather than try to have this discussion pushed out tonight? I'm looking at the calendar, and would council agree to a special meeting on the 26th of January just to deal with this one issue, and maybe give Dave a chance to come with the report with the budget and the information. And in the meantime, council can think about it. I do know from wandering around this building from time to time that this building is very full. And spaces that I didn't think were offices are now being used as offices. And so that I think that the idea of the renovation is not a new idea. It's just as it comes forward in this way quickly without the detail. I think that's what council is lacking and the chance to think it through.
Will we get the detail? Like, I know you said council should think about it. Well, I don't have anything to think about but this resolution. Like, can we get we need some numbers, what the future is going to look like? I mean, how long this is going to take? What if, you know, everyone's COVID's almost over, or at least the main part's over and the project hasn't finished yet. Like, we just need information.
I think that's what we could look at in terms of the schedule and the budget and things of that nature is what could be done. So that if council would agree to that, to have a special meeting on the 26th, I believe I said, just to discuss this one issue, it might help us all to understand it. And that's also gives time to pass a resolution if we choose to, and get it in for the application with the deadline. Councilor Kroll, I know you were trying to say something.
Just sort of for clarification, if the Director of Infrastructure wants to apply for a grant for 316,000, I don't see that. And if he gets the money, then, you know, it puts a sort of a different complexion on the situation. I agree with Councillor Lumley that, we have this money that we've received for because of COVID, but, we are going through it, and I would be reluctant to start dipping into that wildly. But I don't see that there's a problem in applying for the grant. If we don't get the money, then the project doesn't proceed. We have to come up with plan B, or look for other funding streams to accommodate staff. So, if we can have more, I think the grant should be applied for if we can get money for, meeting the needs of, dealing with staff. The different times I've been in the town hall and we see people running around with great big rolls of drawings that they're having to write reports on. It's hard to do that off your kitchen table. So, you know, I do appreciate the need for, you know, workspace. And I know people are working at home. They probably don't have the best lighting. They don't have, you know, this, that, and the other thing to, you know, make it as productive as possible. So, you know, if it's merely a case of applying for a grant and, you know, I don't see a problem there, but I don't want to see us dipping into, you know, sort of opening the floodgates to this other money.
Yep. Council, are you prepared for a special meeting next week? Will you be? Yeah. Okay.
I think CAO has been trying to say something. I just want.
Oh, is he? Okay, I'm not. Is that what you were pointing on your? I was trying to think of what you were doing. Oh, my screen is over there.
I didn't want to interrupt the conversation, but
CAO.
yeah, certainly apologize. It wasn't our intention to just throw this at council and try to get a renovation out of the deal or anything. It was just good intentions of trying to prepare for budget and these grants that are available, trying to take advantage of that. That's all that was. There are a couple of, you know, documents. I think a further discussion would be very important. Just a realization that the town has invested little or nothing in their buildings, and that's a unfunded liability that's coming at us. We have a report that's been in the works for a few months on the building assessment, so we get a sense of what needs to be replaced, and that's without adding an extra square foot to the space that we have. In the last year, we've renovated 2 closets downstairs and a mechanical room where staff are working from. I mean, no one else is doing that. So I'm just saying the space is tight, but we could certainly bring you a better process, and I think we should have a further discussion around how does the town intend to fund its spaces for providing service to people. We have land and we have other types of space, and councils in the past have had those discussions. But I think we need a bit more of a context for this. And if we can make something work next week, I don't think even that meeting is terribly critical, to be honest, because I know what's happening in the background, and we'll just be rushing to, you know, being roughly in the same place that we are today. So we certainly want to come back and have a discussion with council around budget as we're anticipating, and within the context of maybe a deeper discussion about where we're at with buildings, in particular in the space needs. The District of Seychelles, the SCRD have been actively engaged in space, adding more space and so on. And it's a combination of the realities that we're growing and are busy, but there's no need to rush this sort of within a matter of hours or a couple of days. We can take some time if needed.
Mr. Newman.
Just a couple things. One, this was, although I got my name signed to it, it was a discussion and agreed upon project by the management team to present that. The other suggestion that you can weigh up the pros and cons to, I suppose, is to agree that you support the recommendation that's in front of you. We still report back to you on the 26th. Fact is we report back to you on the 26th. There are no other projects that we feel are eligible for this funding. And so we're not going to be able to apply for this funding for any other project. We just don't have the time to be able to do that. And should on the 26th that you just simply do not support the project, we withdraw our grant application.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion.
Councilor D'Andrade, I guess I'm just trying to get through tonight. Yeah, we're seem to be trying to work this through. Yeah.
Maybe we should, just to be clear, I think the CEO said that there's no rush to do anything on the 26th. We can leave for the next meeting. And what I would like to see, it's the projected maintenance of this building, because we can build, but then there's a maintenance that's gonna increase. And we're going to be dealing with new policing costs and other costs. So I think it's important to understand as well. So if this could be part of the proposal.
Okay, I'm lost a little bit with this comments. CIO, is a meeting on the 26th worthwhile, or should we just, what's the thoughts?
So David, does that work from your perspective in terms of having time to bring more information to council?
It will be challenging, but I was just seeing if I could nail down that date to make sure that the 26th was before the closing date, and I don't have that. I'm not easily able to find it. So if the 26th is after the application deadline, we would have to let you know tomorrow that we would have to schedule it for another time, but it certainly can't be after the 26th.
Yeah, I'm prepared to support a resolution tonight, subject to a further detail be provided to us in detail on the 26th. And so that if it is after the date, then on the 26th, we're still going to get the detail, but the application could go forward. So I don't want to hold up an application opportunity. I do recognize the importance of space. I do think that we just in terms of a due diligence to ourselves and to the community, spending, even getting an application and the time commitment and everything else around that. It's a good opportunity financially, but unless somebody moves a resolution, we're stymied here.
If you carve off enough space for a cold weather shelter for at least 10 people in there, for sure, go for it. But I'd like to see the information, and we can meet on Monday if you want. Although on the calendar on the town website, it says we have a meeting on the 26th already. I'm not sure why that is, but
budget meeting.
It's shaded as a meeting. Lindsay's going to tell me why.
I'm sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. It's the committee of the whole meeting. It's a special meeting for budget.
Oh, okay, it's not on my calendar. I don't see it there on the council calendar, but yeah, okay. Well, then we could discuss in that context, or is that taking up too much time in that meeting?
Or if you need, I was suggesting, like, if the meeting's just about this, I would suggest, I don't know, I mean, if he needs to meet on Monday, I'd be fine with that. I don't know. It's just this, a morning meeting on Monday would be perfect, would be fine with me. Get some information out to council and then we could come prepared. It's my suggestion. I'm I'm not willing to support this, but even without any conditions or anything, but if there's time to get the grant application in and we receive the information and discuss it, then I think that's the right way to go, but that's just my thinking.
Yeah. Okay, resolution. Somebody, what do you want to move that, Councillor Lumley?
What am I moving?
Is it Monday okay? Do you have anybody else?
Yeah. Oh, you want me to move to have a special meeting to discuss this on Monday?
Monday, yeah.
The 25th.
Checking my calendar too.
Yeah.
The 25th is free for me on a Monday. It's one of my only days of the week that's free. Yeah.
10 o'clock, like a morning, 10, 11 o'clock.
10 o'clock. Council agree to that? Somebody wish to second that? Councillor Kroll, all in favor of that? Thank you. Deal with the one issue. And maybe we can have a copy of the application itself, Dave. You're going to have detail on the application, so that may be what we work around. Okay, done. Thank you. Okay, council reports. Given the time of everything else like that, council want to consider their reports. So I'm going to go to Gravity first.
Okay, so I don't know if this is the right place to put this, but because Mayor Beamish said I could talk, then I'm just gonna.
It is.
Okay, fantastic. So the Interact Club at Elphinstone, one of the members was in Lower Gibsons along like the boardwalk and noticed those "if I die" or "before I die" signs were looking very shabby. And then we were thinking about things that the Interact Club would be wanted to do to help out the community. And we were wondering if that was something that the town had jurisdiction over, or if anyone, if that was something that the town would want us to help out with. So yeah. Yes.
And is everybody familiar with those particular signs down there? And I agree. I looked at them the other day. CAO, do you know what the jurisdiction of those signs is?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, I do. That belongs to Mr. Giles that is developing the property on the corner as well. We have, I've spoken with the planning department. They have reached out to Mr. Giles and we're waiting on a response, whether he would allow us to work with you, Councillor Gurnard, on that. And so as soon as I hear anything back, we'll follow up with you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank
you for getting in contact with them.
Do you have anything else to report, Gravity?
Not as of right now, no.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Ludwig?
Sorry, I forgot. We don't normally comment on council reports. I just wanted to say I love those signs and I totally support them working on it. So.
Okay, thank you. Other reports? Councillor D'Andrade? You're muted.
Sorry, I clicked. Okay, I'll start again. I participated on the Ocean Watch Action Committee on the 15th, and the highlights of the meeting were Squamish has started a process of zoning the marine area, the marine shore, really interesting, based on ecosystem-based management. And they're proposing 5 marine zones: marine navigation, mixed use marine recreation, marine log storage, and marine transportation. And I think this is a good exercise. Obviously, nothing compared to Squamish because we have a small shoreline, but they have been already advanced in this area, so it's quite inspiring. And the other announcement was 2 federal initiatives. GFO, there's new glass sponge reef closures. They are proposing 5 new sponge reef closures, plus the boundary change to existing Passage Island closure. And they're currently consulting with First Nations. And the other good news, it's also the rockfish conservation areas close to a range of recreation and commercial fisheries. They are looking at doing a review of the areas, right? Understanding, doing research if they're still being inhabited by rockfish. So some areas would move a little bit, and they are looking at perhaps even creating other areas, but even a possible elevation of the rockfish conservation areas to marine refuges. So this is really, really good. So for taking care of Howe Sound. So
thank you. Thank you. And thank you for attending those and participating in that for us. Thank you. Councillor Kroll.
Thank you, Mayor Beamish. Just keep it very brief. Following, and this is sort of an upgrade on the Persephone situation. We, after the announcement from BC Ferries about their support towards the restoration project, we were approached by 3D Services. It's a company that does reality capture and laser scanning. And they've offered us a donation towards the project to come up. They're going to laser scan the Persephone inside and out, which will create working drawings for the restoration of the vessel. It'll also enable the laser capture to be scaled down and actually do like a 3D printing of a model of the Persephone. So it's an interesting project. They're going to be traveling up to the coast in the near future to do the mapping. And I've been in touch with the parks director and and staff just to keep them in the loop.
That's excellent. Thank you. Just quickly for me, pool is open. We're all aware of that. I have had a request for longer hours and the pool, and I'll be discussing that with the SVRD on Thursday. Gospel Rock tour, as I mentioned, I was up Gospel Rock with staff, facilitated that with the owners, and had a look at the work that has been done up there. Also accompanied me on that was Councillor Kroll and Donna McMahon from Area E, and so that did that. Mentioned the opening of the shelter, but supportive housing should be opening itself shortly. Final date yet to be defined, but hopefully by the end of this month. And tomorrow there's a special infrastructure committee meeting with the regional district dealing with water and the water supply. So I'll be attending that. So that's it for me for now. So any questions? Seeing none. Further reports? Seeing none, we'll move on to council correspondence. And we have correspondence for the December 21st, the 4th, January 4th, and January 12th. Anybody wish to bring anything forward from those dates? While you're looking, we have on the 21st, the letter, email from Todd Clark, and we'll be referring to that later this evening. On the 4th, there was a City of Kamloops had an overdose crisis and call for overdose action plan, and this was to the province. And I think it's an important one ourselves that because that is definitely an issue here. So I don't know if council wishes to endorse that resolution or just be aware of it, but the resolution was forwarded to us and to all UBC members with the request of the motion to other municipalities, the request that other municipalities make a similar motion to ask the government of Canada to address the overdose crisis. And I don't know how council feels about that, and if somebody would like to move that. Moved by Councillor Kroll, second by Councillor D'Andrade. It is in your package if you haven't seen it. If any discussion of it, I certainly concur with the sentiments and the resolution myself, so I will support it. Okay, Councillor Kroll.
It was also one of the letters that I'd flagged you to speak me to it.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Okay, so we endorse that to the federal government. Interesting one there on the same page is from Anne Marie Brown, rebuilding permit amendment request. It's a difficult one, and I don't know how council would maybe wish to refer this in some way to staff to see if there's any. It has to do in some sense with bad practice or bad behavior by a person who has a business license in the community. And I don't know what our role with respect to that is, or whether we have any role once we issue a business license, if people are not living up to. I know it creates a civil dispute between the owner and the licensee, and certainly there are civil remedies and civil process. I believe that she is looking for council to do something more on that, and I don't know if there's any more that we can do. And I don't know if any council had any thoughts on that, if you've had a chance to read that letter. Councilor D'Andrade.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm like you, I don't know exactly what we could do, but I would like to explore that. That could be perhaps experience from other municipalities. There might be a way of having some checks, I don't know, or at least once it is proven by the town, because the letter is from the developer, right, from the property owner, but the moment that the town acknowledged that, yeah, this is true, we approved a certain project and that was not what has been delivered, then there could be a mechanism that people can check, okay, if I'm looking for, and perhaps the town won't even accept, I don't know if this is possible, but, or at least some red flag that people can check, because I think this is really significant. The amount of money that anyone would put towards a renovation and have this could cost thousands and thousands of dollars. So.
Yeah. Councillor Crowell?
You know, I again flagged this letter, and I appreciate that it's a really difficult situation, but it's also, you know, as a town, I don't know that we can really venture in there. Like, if someone hires a contractor, I would expect that person to have checked the contractor's references. I wouldn't just hire someone, here's a set of plans, build it. It's usually the contractor who applies for the building permit. You know, I think it's a very difficult area for the town to venture into, because as soon as we start setting guidelines, I would suspect we are exposing ourselves to a certain amount of liability. If we say, here, this is, you know, an approved contractor, and something goes wrong, you know, we're now in the sort of crossfire. I think it's, you know, you know, I hate to use the line buyer beware, but if you're investing money in a project, you know, I think sadly, you know, falls on the person doing the renovation to do their homework to make sure they're getting a reputable person. You know,
sorry.
You know, in my own personal experience, you know, I've, you know, shopped around, I've asked people for references. You know, I had people come bid on a job, and I asked for references and they wouldn't give me any. Well, guess what? They didn't get the job. You know, so I think it's a very, very difficult area. And then it becomes an even more onerous position for town staff if they're constantly having to, you know, revisit sites where there's been an issue because of, you know, an ongoing problem. So I think, you know, it is an awkward situation, but my personal feeling is it's one that it's awkward. You know, even if you go into places like GBS and you say, can you recommend someone? They won't. They'll say, there's some business cards. You can take a business card and check the people, but they won't recommend someone. Because from their own experience, if they recommend something and something goes wrong, now people are going to be annoyed with the supplier, because, you know, that's where the material came from. So it's, you know, yeah. I do appreciate the lady's concern, and I empathize with her, but, you know, through the Better Business Bureau and, you know, other means of, you know, following things up, there are means of dealing with it.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. I think that what I understand from her perspective is that she relied on the business license as being something that gave some credibility to a developer. And I don't know if we can do anything. I don't know if we should do anything. If there's any means. I did suggest to her that civil matter, that one area is that Better Business Bureau, Chamber of Commerce, Yelp is another kind of place to voice your concern, and sometimes that gets response. But and, you know, in the absence of anything else, I mean, we could simply refer to staff to look at in time without making it a huge priority workload, but to in terms of antennas, is there anything, corporate officer, is there anything you're aware of on this that we should or should not do?
No, Mr. Mayor. I believe the Director of Planning has already corresponded.
He has as well, yes. Yeah.
And I don't believe there's anything further the town can do.
Yeah. Yeah. Director of Planning?
Yeah, I did communicate with her, and unfortunately it's a business integrity question. It's not typically the town's role to follow up on businesses and determine whether they have integrity or not. If they're allowed to do what they're doing, they get a business license. it is up to the property owner to do their due diligence and check references, as Councillor Kroll said, and make sure they choose an appropriate contractor. And it's unfortunate, the situation that has happened. But I don't know what the town's role would be in that.
Councillor Kroll, final word.
And with respect to the business license, I don't know if it's possible, if we did as a community receive complaints with respect to a particular business operator and he had a license or they had a license through the town, are we, can we actually refuse to issue a business license based on past complaints with respect to that business?
Yeah. CIO?
It's pretty, through you, Mr. Mayor, it's pretty difficult for us to enforce that. And I mean, we're exposed to a legal challenge at the very least. We'd have to prove that they weren't worthy of a business license, and we're trying to provide a service with that. Our obligation with a business license is in some ways to validate that it is a real business and that it met some standard, as Mayor said, and that it has a location or a contact and those types of things. But certainly it doesn't speak to ensuring that every customer will be, satisfied at the end of every interaction with every business. We certainly never venture down that way.
Can I suggest that maybe we do this as an informational thing? And I'm not looking for a workload for anybody, but maybe there could be something on our website eventually is choosing a contractor, and some steps that perhaps we could suggest that a person go through, steps that are being suggested tonight, references, check with the business bureau, Better Business Bureau, do an online search. I mean, I actually believe that information would have come up on this particular issue had an online search being made. And maybe that's something we could do is in terms of an awareness thing, but not putting that as a top of the workload right now. But maybe there's something out there that already exists.
Can certainly commit to that, Mr. Mayor. We'll review what we have and the information we provide on the application and on the website, and we'll just check what other folks are doing as well. We can certainly do that.
Thank you. Unfortunate circumstance, but we also don't know the other side of it. So that's and there are always going to be two sides to a question. Okay, can we move on? Is there anything else on correspondence, Councillor D'Andrade?
Yes, I would like just to acknowledge the letter from January 3rd from the Gibsons Wildlife Rehabilitation Center.
Yes. Yeah.
And they are supporting the bylaw. They're actually asking council to pass a bylaw, and they describe the reasons why. So anyone that could read, and I'll bring this letter again. There are other letters. There's a motion, but a request from the city of Vernon, but I'll leave for another meeting. I think it's an important thing to follow up. It's about contraceptives, but that's okay. We can leave for another. I think we have a busy agenda.
Thank you, Council. We'll move on then to 11.1.2, and that is the John Dooley, Mayor, City of Nelson, vaccination priority for essential critical infrastructure municipal employees. And this is a copy of a letter he sent to Adrian Dix. And which council's wishes on that? I think the only thing we could do is follow up with our own letter if council felt that to be a priority. Councillor Ludwig.
When I first read the letter, I was a little reluctant to support it simply because I know there's other people in the community that are more vulnerable due to age, due to their occupation. But then I thought about it again, and I think we're talking about a small number of individuals that do provide an essential service. So I would be prepared to support it, send a letter of support.
Okay, would you make a resolution to that effect?
Yes.
Okay, and seconded by Councillor D'Andrade. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. So, Next is the Sunshine Coast Highway Society request to support a new highway on the Sunshine Coast. This is a kind of a follow through from what we had previously done. I guess the only thought on that would be that well, we could either draft a letter or we could refer it to the Sunshine Coast Transportation Committee, which Councillor Kroll will be attending tomorrow, and see if they would take it up as a charge with the support of the town of Gibsons. Councillor Kroll?
I'm willing to bring it up with track tomorrow. It's you know, it's something that, you know, the town of Gibsons is just another voice with Team Sunshine Coast. So unless it's done collaboratively, we're sort of singing in the wilderness.
Yeah.
So I have no problem with
refer it to track then, so that council agree, refer this to the Transportation Advisory Committee.
You know, and it may even show up on the track agenda in their correspondence.
Okay. Councillor D'Andrade, you second that, or you wanted to say something? Okay.
Excuse me, just a clarification. We are still writing a letter and referring to them, or we are doing a combined letter signed? Because I think it's important to have the town signing a letter too.
Councillor Lumley?
What's the letter going to say?
Basically that be the resolution of the package there. Basically the construction of a true, sustainable, environmentally responsible highway in the Sunshine Coast be supported by the town, and that a letter be sent to the Sunshine Coast Highway Society and the Minister of Transportation Infrastructure, including the resolution from council. Supporting the a new highway or bypass.
So the fact that, like, the Ministry of Transportation gave us a presentation not that long ago saying that there won't be a highway and that here are their options, which was as ridiculous, but 5 more passing lanes, but they've already committed to not have a highway. I guess it's just lip service, I guess, but I mean, I guess people fight for a highway, but I mean, they've said there's not going to be a highway, and they said it right to us in council chambers, right to our faces. It'll never happen. So, but sure, I guess you could send a picture of your fingers crossed or something, but it seems like a lot of talk and work for nothing, but that's fine.
Councillor Kroll?
Government.
You know, I've you know, when I saw this thing, I thought, you know, and I referred back to the report that Councillor Lumley was referring to. I think the only reason this thing is resurfaced is that there's a new Minister of Transportation. And people think, you know, maybe a new broom is going to have a different sweeping action. But, you know, the report, you know, the new minister is likely going to refer to the previous, to Minister Trevina's report. And, you know, but it's, you know, I think if it goes to track and track make it a letter and it's endorsed by, you know, the town of Gibsons, Sunshine Coast, Regional District, Seashelt First Nation, it'll get filed with the other letters. I appreciate
if Seashelt puts an Olympic bid in, then they'll build a highway. Right?
Good suggestion.
Yeah, they might have a water issue.
Can we move this one forward one way or the other? We're taking time. I would, Councillor Kroll.
I'll take it to track tomorrow.
Take it to track on Thursday afternoon, and then report back to us what their position is on it. Yes. And then maybe that'll help us to make a decision. Thank you, Councillor Kroll. Okay, the next one is the Jeff Bolte, the Director of Census Management. And this is regarding the census, and they've asked or suggested that council pass a resolution of support. This is on page 119 of our agenda. If you would like to express your municipality support for the census, please share the municipal council resolution text with your residents. Be it resolved, the council of the corporation, the town of Gibsons supports the 21 census and encourages all residents to complete their census questionnaire online, accurate and complete census data. We have added this information to the website, by the way, so that we have a census page now on our website. I don't know the particular value of a resolution telling people to do what they're supposed to do in terms of the census, but does anybody want to move this for the sake of encouraging us to have over 5,000 population?
Hang on to that COVID money.
Councillor Ludwig.
Sorry, how do we do this? Would like on the website?
It's on the website. I know that Elizabeth was putting the census page up there just to inform people.
Okay, sure. Let's just move on. Yeah.
Okay, is that sufficient?
Yeah.
You are required to participate in the census. It's not,
I know.
yeah. So I see hands still waving here. Councillor D'Andrade. You seconded something. Yeah. Seconded is just deal with it on the website. Yeah. Okay. So that's where it is. So we'll move on. The census will happen. Thank you. And you could have the same thing in French on the next page. And go over then to Girl Guides. The Girl Guides are asking for support. I'm just eyeing the time. Is that where we are now? Yeah, the Light Up. I'm asking support for girl empowerment in BC this February 22nd by lighting up your municipal hall or local landmarks in the color blue with exterior lighting or indoor lighting in building windows. How does council feel about that? Do you support that one? Do we have blue lights? I guess that's the thing. Can we get blue lights to put them somewhere, CAO? Yeah, I'm sure we can. If we can get blue lights, I would certainly support this and encourage the staff to look at the way that we can support this. I don't think it requires a resolution, just to encourage staff that we, if we can get the blue lights, corporate officer, you would like a resolution?
Mr. Mayor, there's a note in the resolution about approving $200 towards acquiring blue lights.
Oh, is there? Sorry. Okay, sorry. I hadn't turned that page. Yeah. Yeah.
For a grant?
Playing with so many resolution things. Yeah. Okay. There it is. Okay. Okay, there's a resolution that email from Diamond Isler, Provincial Commissioner, that one of the following motions be adopted. Participate in the Girl Guides event and related expenses up to $200. Or, yeah, I would support that resolution that we participate for up to, who would move that? Councillor D'Andrade, second by Councillor Kroll, up to $200. All in favor? Thank you. And we better send a note to them and tell them we had done it. Yeah, that'd be appropriate. Okay, Linda Buchanan, Mayor of North Vancouver. Okay, time-wise, can I get a motion from council? We have a good discussion on in-camera coming up. Can I get a motion to continue the meeting till 9:30? Councillor Kroll, Councillor D'Andrade, all in favor? Go to 9:30.
Opposed.
I knew that was going to happen. I
Yeah.
knew that was going to happen.
Well, you can move to, if you want to move your new business to the Monday meeting, I think that'd probably be after David's. That might, if you want to take care of that. But other than that, if you want the design.
So we can move new business.
We can discuss that.
Yeah, we can move new business to the next meeting.
Okay.
Next regular council meeting. There's not a rush on that.
All right.
So that, so if we do that, are you still, are you opposed to going to 9:30? If we move the road dent side?
Well, are you talking going to 9:30, including the in-camera meeting?
including the in-camera meeting.
Oh, sure. I'll vote in favor of that.
Okay.
I just thought it was for, yeah, okay.
All in favor? Going to 9:30? Okay, thank you. Okay. So we'll get down to that other item in a minute. Oh, no, we're there now, actually. So if we could move 11.6 to the next council meeting, if council agrees to that. Do we need a resolution that, corporate officer? Okay, a resolution to move 11.6, Councillor Kroll, Councillor Lumley, and that would go to the February 2nd council agenda. Thank you for discussion. Thank you. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Bylaws, we have the bylaw for the Town of Gibsons Advisory Design Panel, 1288. This will be given first, second, and third reading. You've seen that today and had a chance to look at. Any further discussion on that issue? Motion by Councillor Kroll, second by Councillor Lumley. All in favor? Thank you. That's approved. Unfinished business, the ABICC call for resolutions. We kept that on the agenda. Does anybody have anything tonight? Councillor Ladwig.
Just quickly, I'd like us to write a resolution that that MOT, Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure, be required to meaningfully consult and engage with municipalities when working on highways that run through their municipality.
Yeah, good resolution. Yeah. Okay, second on that, Councillor Kroll. Oh, you weren't seconded. You were okay.
I would suggest that provincial ministries, period, whether it be Ministry of Highways, Forestry, that they be required to engage responsibly with municipalities. You know, we're faced with our watershed and things like that, which is not just highways, it's forestry and even
make two resolutions then.
Yeah, I suspect that this one that Councillor Ladwig is dealing with is the one that we have dealt with, and that is the ability of MOT to have infrastructure run through our community, but not ignore our safety concerns and those of our residents. And I think that's a different issue. It's their infrastructure, so I certainly support that, Councillor.
In which case, I'll second it.
Okay, and you'll second that. Okay. Further discussion on that issue? Okay, so support that resolution going forward. All in favor? Okay, and that'll come back to us for consideration. Because it's an AVICC resolution, and we'll wait until the next meeting, but I was also going to suggest, and maybe we can, I don't want to take any wind out of North Vancouver or West Vancouver's initiative, but I'd just like to make sure that that one is also being dealt with through, they're not part of AVICC, so it wouldn't go to AVICC, the ban on roadside. But we'll have to have that conversation first and do that. Okay, so we'll leave this on the agenda. That'll come up at the next meeting as well. Thank you. So the new business is no longer new business. There are no notice of motions. Go back to inquiries for the second inquiry session. This for inquiries for any matter that is wished to be raised.
At this time, I'll ask anybody in the meeting as an attendee to please use the raise the hand feature located at the bottom of the screen, and we'll turn on your audio and video. And I'm not seeing any, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Could I have a motion to close the meeting and that meeting closed in accordance with section C, E, G, K, and M of the Community Charter, labor relations, acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land, litigation, negotiations, or a matter that under enactment, public may be excluded from the meeting. Motion to that effect? Exclusion? Councillor Kroll, Councillor D'Andrade, thank you. All in favor? Thank you. And I'd like to thank everybody for bearing with us tonight. We got a little bit long-winded at parts, but it's all good conversation and helpful for moving the business of the town forward. So thanks, everybody. And for those of you who are going to be with us, I'll see you in a few minutes. And Gravity, thank you very much for your time. And CAO will get back to you on the signs.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice night.
Good night now. Thank you. And we will log ourselves out of here and come back in another life.